From Dayton, Ohio, Bob Kwolek. From St. Louis, Missouri, Ray Bluth. Two more of the world's greatest bowlers on championship bowling in a three-game match. From the Firestone Bowl A Rama lanes in Akron, Ohio.
Hello, everybody, from Akron, Ohio. It's championship bowling. This is Fred Wolf. We have two more of a field of 24 of the world's greatest bowlers in weekly competition, a purse of some $70,000. The winner this week, as usual, receives $1,000. The loser, $500. For 5 strikes in a row in any one game, we start a $250 bonus. $50 for every strike on top of the first 5. A 300 game worth $10,000. All competition, rather, is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress. Now, each of these boys will make another appearance. It's total pins for the 6 games to qualify our 2 finalists with a $15,000 added purse. Championship bowling from Akron, Ohio. Working with us this week from St. Louis, Dick Weber. Richard, how are you?
Nice to be back again. Thank you.
Now, we've got one of your teammates here this week. I'm sure you know more about him than I do.
Yes, I've watched this fellow bowl for the last 10 years. I've been bowling alongside of him, and he's a precision bowler, but the other bowler, Bobby Kwolek, is a former championship bowling champion.
That's right.
And I've watched this boy participate quite a bit, so it'll be an interesting match.
We won't ask you to pick one, but you can get up there in our little perch, and we'll be right up there and see it, Dick.
Fine.
Let's let the folks meet these boys. From Dayton, Ohio, the former Detroiter and former champion of championship bowling, Bob Kwolek.
Good to be
Always
back.
start another championship bowling. How'd you like to win 2 of them?
Oh, I'd love that more than anything.
You know what you have to do?
Yeah, I know what I have to do.
Get a lot of pins.
That's right.
And you have to beat this guy right here, too, I think.
Yeah, he's
You wanna-
pretty tough, isn't he?
He's pretty tough. Let's get him up here, see what he looks like. Ray Bluth, St. Louis.
Hello, Fred.
Nice to see you back on championship bowling.
Very
I was
happy to be
looking
here.
at the records, Ray, and it looks something like you have a 222 average, I believe, for 45 games or something like that.
Well,
You keep your records?
I do keep them. I sort of forgot about that
You
one.
forgot about
And,
that one.
I'm glad you reminded me. Maybe it'll inspire me today.
Inspire you. Well, we're ready now, Akron. We got 2 pretty good boys here. A little encouragement, and we'll be into the first game of 3. Shake hands, boys. Come out and fight. Bobby Kwolek, former Detroiter, now in Dayton, Ohio, won the toss, elected to start on the left side, which has been unusual, really. The winners of the toss have been starting on the right. He's in there and gets away beautifully. Bobby Kwolek, who won championship bowling in Northbrook, Illinois, defeated Pat Patterson in the finals. He was a teammate of Ray Bluth, and working with us this week, Dick Weber, also a teammate of Pat Patterson and Ray Bluth. So, Dick, I know you're well acquainted with this fella. Peekaboo, Blooper, Bluth.
The photographer.
Yes, sir. That was a lot of bowling ball. Here it comes. He's got it. How do you compare the styles of these 2 fellas here before we get too far into the match, Dick?
Well, actually, Fred, I think that Ray is much more precision bowler than Bobby Kwolek, but you can't discount Bobby Kwolek's style for the fact that he's always around the pocket and has that ball rolling well. It'll be an interesting match, that's for sure.
Notice Ray playing much to the outside. Notice the bowling ball. Now he has the hand almost on top, rolls it forward, reaches, throws, in, leaves the solid 10. Well, he certainly hit his mark.
Yes, he did, and you know, this boy, Bloop, Fred, is always known as the bridesmaid. He's always knocking at the door, but never actually won that big tournament. But you can count on he'll be in that first 5.
Well, I remember him in 1959. He managed to win the ABC Masters, but he's been runner-up in everything else, including the National All-Star that you've won, of course, in
Yes.
62 and 63. There's the cover. And I remember in 1964 on Make That Spare, which is not a tournament really, but he didn't finish second. You might know he made that jackpot shot for $21,000. So this is not bad. Here's Bobby Kwolek, born in Detroit in 1932, trying for the double. He doesn't quite get enough of that pocket, leaves the 5-pin, almost a 2-4-5, leaves nothing but the 5. This young fellow started as a pin boy back in 1948 in Detroit. His father used to average 190. Used to be a pretty good draftsman. Bobby gave up a draftsman career to join the Professional Bowlers Association, and he's been on the tour for the past, well, since 1960, and doing very well. He's never won one. His best has been a third in the Schenectady, New York Open in 1963. 20 spare for both boys. Bobby Kwolek, Dayton, Ohio, Ray Bluth, St. Louis, Missouri. We're in the third frame. There's the action he wanted. Now, knowing this young fella, Bob, Dick, probably as well as you know Ray, this kid used to really throw a rounder, and I see that the tour has changed his style a little bit. He's to the outside and lets it roll.
Yes, it has, Fred. In fact, most of the bowlers that used to throw a big hook have cut down their hook quite a bit.
Gotta hurry, Ray. Ooh, there's a 7-pin, so he's been in there 3 times. A strike, a 10-pin, and a 7-pin. So Kwolek has a chance to take an early lead.
I was talking to Bobby before the match, and he said, all I want to do is get about a 100-pin lead on Ray the first 2 games.
You know, we've been talking about Bobby being a former champion of championship bowling. We certainly have got to give Ray Bluth a credit, because Ray is also a champion of championship bowling. He won championship bowling in Skokie, Illinois. We've had a couple of 300s over the years. Steve Nagy and Stan Gifford. And it looked like Mr. Bluth was going to join that twosome. Just like that, he's in there again. So at the end of 4, Bluth is 59 on a strike. Ray gets his second chance for a double. Here's Bobby Kwolek, his second chance for the double. Left to 5-pin here in the second. Tendency here, Dick, might be to push it up a little high.
This is a very important strike to Bobby.
There, he got it up there.
It's a fairly well-rolled ball, I believe.
Yes, it rolled. You could almost see the 3 spots on that AM/FM flight there rolling
Forward.
over the top rather than as they do turn off to the side. Kwolek now in the 5th. He has the double. Bluth looking for his first double. It's the first game. Championship bowling from Akron, Ohio. 10 pins stops him. That's 6 pins scooting right around it. Both boys hitting that pocket pretty good, Dick.
Yes, they are.
Can't carry.
I think Bobby was the only one out of the pocket, actually, and yet you can't say he was actually out of the pocket when he left the thin 5-pin.
So we've had 2 10s, a 7, a 5. Kwolek with the spare. Ray Bluth moves in down the right. We're in the 5th frame. Bluth needs this one to get back in. He trails by 10 pins. Meet new people. Make new friends. Why don't you go bowling? It's great. He hit the spot again. He's there, and there's the double, and that ties it all up. So at the 5 in the first game, Kwolek, 89 spare. Bluth is 59 in the 3rd. He works on a double. Count off, Dick, when he does all those things, or does that just come automatic?
No, he counts, Fred. He counts to 5 or 6 steps.
There it is. One more. The blooper from Detroit. Boy, he's been pouring that ball in the pocket. He hasn't missed it. He's left a 10 and a 7. He has 4 strikes out of 6, and Bobby Kwolek now has his hands full. Bobby moves in on the right side. Has a nickname. They call him Golly Golly. Another solid 10. That's 2 in a row for Bob.
It's a very hard shot to explain, too, for the fact that you're in the pocket and you can't understand why the 10-pin stands.
Well, that's 2 pretty good ones for Bob. On top of a double, he could have been knocking on the door there for the bonus money. Bluth sits on 3 of them. At the spare, Bobby covers. Kwolek, in the championship bowling records, has a 763 total, which is the 3rd all-time high. It was a series he shot in, the Northbrook series. He started with 290, followed with 215, finished with 258. That put him in the finals, and he defeated Pat Patterson. Gotta hurry. He doesn't get there, leaves the 2-pin. So Ray Bluth now in his next turn on the lanes, all competition moving from our right to the left. Each bowler bowls 2 complete frames, moving right to left. Each game is started on the left side. That man bowls 1 frame, takes his seat, and then the competition moves from 26 to 25, or right to left. The cover by Kwolek, and it's Ray Bluth. On 3. Hasn't been out of the pocket. Gives the ball that turn, then rolls it forward with his hand over the top, and he throws it too high, and he carried it. Oh, he got away with one there, didn't he?
Ray was very happy with that shot there. He knew it was high, but he got the kick off the sideboard, kicking the 4-7 on him.
Well, if he was happy inside because he showed nothing outside. But
He looks like a very grumpy fella, but actually he's not.
That's right. We know him as a real fine fella, but he is all business when he's out on the lanes. He doesn't talk to anybody. You'll never see him smile. Occasionally. And here's a $250 ball. Ray Bluth. He's on 4 in a row. Going for the bonus money. $250. Will he get it? Here it comes. There it is. $250. And Bluth now will get an additional $50 for every strike on top of that string of 5. And he still has room for 4 more. Kwolek now. In the 8th, goes, and he leaves the 4-pin, and that's the one that Bluth kicked out. Gave him a chance to get his 5 in a row. Kwolek, who's been in there with 2 10s, and now the 4, unable to get loose. Bobby had a double. Came right back with 2 10-pins. Has been unable to get started again. At the 4, he covers. That 4-pin that Bluth kicked out of there is a pretty big break, wasn't it?
Yes, it is, Fred. In fact, Bobby's hit looked a lot better than Ray's did, but Bobby set it a little bit high, and the ball just didn't sag back enough, what we call in game bowling, to kick the 4 out.
We're at the end of 8. Bluth out in front by some 30 pins. He's on a string of 5.
There you go.
There it is. Well, Bobby kicked that 10 out of there that time. So Kwolek has the strike in the big 9th frame, a chance for a very strong 226. 2 10s and a 4. Still can come out with 226. Bluth kicking around 269. He has 119 in the 5th. If he goes all the way, just add 150. Very simple. And Bluth will settle for that, I'm sure, at $50 a strike. Going for 6. Got to hurry. Didn't get there. The 5-pin. Well, he got the 5th one. He couldn't get the 6th one.
Noticed on that shot, Fred, he moved in with his feet, 1 board, and he seemed to zip the ball a little bit harder because that kicking the 4-pin was working on his mind, so that's the reason he done it. And it didn't pay off.
At the 5-pin, Bluth covers. So we go into the 10th frame. Kwolek, 166. He's on a strike. Bluth, 198 on a spare. You know, every citizen has a personal stake in our nation's colleges. Support the college of your choice. For information, write to Higher Education, Box 36, Times Square Station, New York, New York, 10036. In the 10th, Bluth rode right back in there. Beautiful ball. And it would seem that the left side seems to be a little easier for Ray than the right side.
Of course, he's not doing too bad on 26, I don't believe.
Well, he's only missed the left side once, and he had a solid 10-pin in the second frame. He struck in the 4th, 6th, 8th, and now the 1st and the 10th. There's another one of those things, another solid 10. Oh, we've looked at... Bluth has had 2 of them this game on the same side. Kwolek has had 1 on each side. So we've had 4 good, solid pocket hits. But the 10-pin has been the bugaboo. This is a break for Kwolek, really. Keeps him in there. 238. 238 for Bluth, and that could have been 240 with that second strike.
Very easy.
So Bobby Kwolek moves in on the right. There it is. Bobby's throwing a nice rolling ball, too.
Yes, he is, Fred. He's not trying to hook the ball too much at all, which is very good.
Kwolek is averaging 215 for 24 games on championship bowling. His high 3, as we mentioned, is 763. His high single, 290. Bluth averaging 222 for 45 games. Too high. 4-7. Ray has had 4 700 totals over the years. His high single has been 299. So the first game, Bluth is going to have himself about 24 pins to work on. It'll be 238 for Bluth, 214 for Bobby Kwolek. This is Fred Wolf, along with Dick Weber. It's Championship Bowling, where you see the world's greatest bowlers in action every week from the Firestone Lanes in Akron, Ohio, the rubber capital of the world. Here are the scores for the first game. Bobby Kwolek from Dayton, Ohio, 214. Ray Bluth from St. Louis, taking $150 in bonus money, is game 238. Bluth out in front, 24 pins. You ready, Akron, for the second game? Ray Bluth, St. Louis, Missouri, out in front. He opened with 238. Bobby Kwolek has 214. It's championship bowling from Akron, Ohio. Slow, methodical, the automatic man, Ray Bluth. Look at that man at that pocket. Boy, he's got that range finder working pretty good, Dick.
Yes, he has, Fred, and of course this fella has notes on himself, the way he's been practicing for the past week.
Yes, I understand he knows every board here already when you work out that long, and he keeps all kinds of records. Look out, Bobby. Too high, breaks it up, 4-7. One little statistic that he didn't realize was that he's averaging 222 for 45 games on championship bowling. He kind of forgot that one. And we practically forgot that he won championship bowling. The format was a little different then, but he was the winner in Skokie, Illinois, defeating Billy Golumbieski in the final. Well, Kwolek had to wait that one out.
Bobby got a little careless on that shot there, and the ball started sliding on him.
Well, we talk about Bluth. I might as well throw in the other thing that I probably should have mentioned before. Bluth has had a 300 game on television. And he did it right in Detroit on one of our local shows in Detroit, 1957, and he won $10,000. Kwolek, short again. The 2, the 4, the 5, and he ends up with nothing but the 5. I think he's satisfied with that.
Very satisfied. He seems to be playing two different lines, Fred. Outside on 25 and inside and tight on lane 26.
Kwolek with the spare had a lot of good pocket hits that have not registered as strikes on the scoreboard. Bluth has yet to be on the nose. He's left a 10, a 7, and a 5, and a solid 10 in the 10th on his second ball. Being very careful. That's it. Oh, he's in that pocket knee deep, isn't he?
Very much so. He has such a good follow-through. Every bowler talks about Ray Bluth's follow-through, and he's always crisp and straight at the foul line, where other bowlers are generally going around with the hand or around at the arm swing a little bit.
It would seem to be quite difficult to get out of that ball the way he cocks his wrist, but he rolls the ball over. When he rolls the ball over, his hand is in good position. Oh, you reached too far with that one. Was with him a little too long. That's the first time that Bluth has actually missed the pocket. He was crowding. That's the first. He seems to be very concerned. One mistake in 13 frames, and I imagine Ray is very disgusted with himself.
In fact, he is, Fred.
I believe it. Being a perfectionist as he is, a mistake is a mistake, whether it happens Tuesday or Friday. There's the cover. So Bluth now is 49 spare. Kwolek moves in the third frame, now trailing by some 34 pins. Bobby's got to start the string. There we are. Beautiful ball. Kwolek playing at least 10 boards farther inside or deeper, as the boys say, than Bluth is, wouldn't you say?
Yes,
at least
very much so, Fred. I think Ray's hitting around 7 or 8 boards from the channel, and Bobby's hitting around 13 and 14 from the channel.
Kwolek now moves left, chance to even this game up. Bluth is on the spare, Kwolek on the strike. How's that look? That's it. Well, he got it out of there. And Ray Bluth now moving in on the right. You know, the more I look at the records here of these two boys, of course, Bluth has been in the game longer than Bobby, but on television, Bluth has had a 299 game and a 300 game. Kwolek has had 2 290 games. And that's going pretty good in front of the camera stick.
Very much.
Gotta hurry. Oh, the old accordion ball. Yes, sir. So this game, even to the pin, the margin still 24 pins. As a result of the first game, Bluth with 238, Kwolek with 214. Now, Ray was high here last time, Dick, and as you say, this man remembers everything. He probably won't make the same mistake twice, will he?
I don't think so. And he didn't.
No, sir. No, sir. Well, he won't make that mistake again the rest of the match. So it's a double for Bluth. Bobby's got to have this one to stay with him. We're going to start knocking on that bonus door pretty soon. Never. Whoop, got a piece of it. Just got that one out a little too far. Kwolek leaves the 2-pin. Here's the cover at the end of 5. We're halfway in this match. Kwolek is 88 on a spare. Bluth is 69 in the third double. Sixth frame, second game, championship bowling. from Akron, Ohio. Kwolek too high, leaves the 6-10.
It's a typical way to bowl, though, Fred, even with the pros. Light one ball, and then the next ball they'll automatically pull, just to make sure they get to that head pin or the pocket a little more solid.
Count. Kwolek made it, going away. Shooting to cover, the AMF Sparemaker indicates, of course, to put the ball between the two pins, and Bobby made it on the outside. Ray Bluth now moving in on the right side. On a double. Started with 2, went high left to 6, now works on 2. Has a lead of some 35 pins, sets it, go, gets that 4 pin out of there. Well, now that ball was on a line all the way to the pocket. There was no out and back. It was with the boards all the way, wasn't it?
Seemed to have a little more zip on it, too, Fred.
Ray's another boy that years ago was a great rounder, out and back, and he certainly has changed his ball to fit the conditions, as most of the boys on the PBA Tour have. We're in the 7th. Bluth trying for 4. The lift. There he is. He gets another crack. Another crack at bonus money. Bluth is now on 4 in a row as Bobby Kwolek moves in the 7th frame. Four-pit again. Kwolek crowding a bit here on the right side. That's the second 4-pin he's had there, Dick.
Yes. He seems to be playing this lane awful tight. If you move 1 or 2 boards to the right farther, I believe he'd have a little more room to hit the pocket or carry.
Bob Kwolek, former Detroiter, now from Dayton, Ohio. Covers the spare in the 7th. We go into the 8th. Ray is on a 4-timer. 1 more strike, and he'll cash in again with bonus money. He had a 5-bagger in the first game. Won the first game, 238 to 214, left a solid 10-pin in the 10th frame. Bobby throws, looks good, he's in. It seems that on the left side, playing almost the same angle, Dick, Bob's ball will move on the left, but over here on 26, he almost has to throw it right in the pocket.
Right direct,
come
Fred,
back.
yes.
All right, let's watch Ray Bluth now. He's got a $250 challenge. He's got his feet where he wants them. The ball now under the chin, cocks it, left hand on the back of the ball. He'll tip it and roll it forward. He hits his spot, and he's too high. Leaves the 6-pin. Well, Ray's been out of the pocket twice, and he's left the 6-pin both times. He really rounded that one, didn't he?
He seemed to really pull the ball right at the last minute, Fred. He wanted to be so direct, and he just overcompensated with the hand a little bit.
The cover. Bluth has the 6-pin. Ray now moves into the 9th frame. We go into the 9th. Kwolek is 145 strike. Bluth 178 spare. The margin in this, the second game, 33 pins. Bluth won the first game by 24 pins. Big 9th frame for Ray. Like to make a 240 game out of this. Give him 480 going in. That'll get there. Gets it out of there. So Bluth now with a strike in the 9th. He cannot cash in the bonus department, but Kwolek can. Bobby has 1 in the 8th. So he must go all the way for $235 and $250 in bonus money. And he can use this one. He trails by some 57 pins, sets it, it's there, he's in and he carries. So Bobby letting Mr. Bluth know that he's not just going to sit by here, he's going to make Ray work all the way. You know, there's quite a story, Dick, about Bob, and he appeared on Detroit television. I think this was about 1960. About 5 minutes before airtime, he was practicing, and his ball broke in two. Did you hear that story?
Yes, I did.
Going for 3. Kwolek. Oh, he just turned away from that one. The 1, 2, and the 8. Missing the head pin. Chance for 235.
After Bobby had that new ball drilled, I believe he shot a 290 game.
That's right.
Like
the
that.
First game out, the brand new ball. He didn't get he threw it once on the introduction of the show, like we do on Championship Bowling. He threw it once. He said it was a bit sticky. He commenced to get a spare in the first frame and struck out all the way for 290. Kwolek with the count 212. He opened with 214, but that's not enough. When you got Ray Bluth in your hands. Bluth opened with 238. He sits on a 258 game. There's the one Bobby wanted. You know whether you rack up strikes every time that you roll the bowling ball or not, let me tell you that you can still have a barrel of fun at this sport. It's great fun. Take my word for it. Why don't you arrange to go bowling real soon with your family, friends? Look in the yellow pages. There's a bowling center right in your neighborhood. We're in the 10th. Bluth on a big strike. He wants the double. He's too high, and he looks at the 7 pin. Well, he didn't seem very certain of that delivery, Dick.
No, he was a little bit shy at the foul line with the follow-through. Of course, if he spares and strikes here, he'll have 238 and 238.
That's not bad.
Not at all. And Bobby Kwolek's very consistent, too.
You know, I have a triplicate going, and I think he'd settle for another 238. And we'll have to call the American Bowling Congress because he'll win himself an award with the triplicate.
On this shot, it might be of interest that I think Ray will experiment, knowing Ray a little bit here. I think he'll experiment on this ball a little bit, see what he's doing wrong with the last 2 pitches that he made on this lane.
Four pin, so Bluth will not have a chance at the triplicate. In the second game, Kwolek 212, Bluth 237. It looks like another great match here on Championship Bowling, where you see the world's greatest bowlers in action every week from the Firestone Lanes in Akron, Ohio, the home of the Professional Bowlers Association. We'll be ready for the third and final game here on Championship Bowling in Akron, Ohio. Now in the conversation corner, we have a gentleman here from Akron, Ohio, Mr. Bill Martin, who has sponsored bowling teams now for some 15 years in Akron. And you know, in an organized bowling league, many businessmen sponsor these teams. And I'm going to ask Bill, you've been sponsoring teams for 15 years. Could you tell me why?
Well, primarily, I think it's good for my business. It has given me an opportunity to meet many people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. And in turn, when you have 5 or 6 teams wearing your shirts with your names on the backs of them, people see them. Mm-hmm. And sooner or later, they get the idea to probably stop in to see you. And I also find that bowlers, as a rule, are a jovial group of people, happy-go-lucky. And I also find that bowling gives them quite an appetite, being in the food business.
Well, that's true, Bill. They say bowling is a great sport. It's great fun. And from what you say, it would seem that bowlers are hungry.
Yes.
And you benefit from it. Well, I hope you're a sponsor around Akron here for another 15 years, Bill.
I hope to be.
And thank you very much, Bill Martin. We're ready now for the third and final game on Championship Bowling from Akron, Ohio. The scores at the end of 2 games. Bobby Kwolek from Dayton, Ohio, 214 and 212. His total 426. For Ray Bluth from St. Louis, 238, 237. The total 475. Bluth out in front by 49 pins. Are you ready, Akron? Ready now? Game number 3. Here we go. Bobby Kwolek from Dayton, Ohio, trailing by 49 pins to Ray Bluth, 475 to 426. $1,000 goes to the winner. Bobby throws too high. On the nose, breaks it up to 610.
I think Bob would like to see one of those 290 games that he shot before at this particular point.
Well, if he can convert this one, as we say, Dick, if he can do it with a pencil, he can do it with a bowling ball.
True.
Careful. Well, he made that one on the outside once this week, and this time he just didn't give it enough room, and Bobby Kwolek is open, and that's the first open frame of the match. Picking the 6 off the 10. That gives Bluth about 60 pins to work on. Bobby has 9 frames to get them back. Bluth has 10 frames to protect it. And here it comes. There it is. Well, he missed that alley twice. In the 8th and 10th frames of the second game, he still came out with 237, and now goes to the left, where he seems to be having more success than he is on the right, Dick.
Yes. I noticed particularly on that ball on lane 26, he moved out just a little bit farther.
Hurry. 10 pin. Well, he got a piece of it. The 6 pin just didn't do its job, Dick, and it's another 10 pin for Ray Bluth.
Had it right in the pocket, but just a little bit around on the ball, leaving the 10.
That was more what you boys call the in-betweener?
Right.
Be careful. Bluth has shown us he is a human being. He missed a spare. Oh, you won't see that very often. I was just going to remark that, well, it's still true that he has only had 1 pin to shoot at whenever he had the spare. Left a 10 pin, a 5 pin, a 10 pin, a 6 pin, a 6 pin, and a 7 pin, and a 10 pin that he missed. And Kwolek just threw one out the window. Bobby Kwolek has missed the head pin, the 1, 2, 4, and the 8. Well, the boys we're in good shape here, Dick. 475 and 426, and now we've had 2 open frames.
Right off the bat.
And Kwolek converted that one. So we'll have to get them straightened out. We go into the 3rd. Kwolek still trailing by some 49 pins. Bluth has won bonus money once. In the first game, he had 5 in a row. In the second game, he had 4. That's better. Bobby's been throwing a great ball, but he has been a little inconsistent with it. He comes back with a good ball, but he throws a couple of bad ones in between.
That's what makes you come back and practice, Fred. As you well know.
Bluth now on the right. That'll get there. Well, the 10 pin looks pretty big now. Leaving the 10 in the second, and then, of course, missing it. If Ray gets this one, it could mean exactly 32 pins in that second frame, where we would put 60 with 4 in a row, or 59 at least. He has 28. So a 10-pin tap and then the miss can become very important when you're trying to get a big 200 score. It's pretty difficult. Bluth will have to get the long string now for that 700. Will he get this one? 7 pin. Look at that pin go around that 7. Hit the kickback, fell in front, still went around it, Dick.
You can't figure it out. You had everything going toward the 7 pin, but just another one of those misfortunes in the game.
At the 7, Bluth covers, shaking his head. He thought he had that one. So it's a life for Kwolek. Bobby's on the strike in the 3rd. Bluth is now 48 with a spare in the 4th. Bobby can get 10 pins back with this one. Hurry. Not enough. Oh, look at that. Oh, what kind of an action do you call that, Dick?
Well, I don't know what kind of action you call it, but of course, those type of breaks can really loosen a bowler up, and he'll go all out.
Well, he had the bucket up there, and it looked like 1 pin just took care of the entire setup. We go into the 5th now. Bobby with the double. Let's see if he can take advantage of the break. No, never. Not another one. Oh, my. How about those apples? He goes from the bucket on a shaker and now goes on the Brooklyn side, and he has 3 in a row, and he's picked up 20 pins on Bluth. Ray is on a spare here. And Bobby was on the strike in the third, so he's already picked up 20 pins. He's got that margin down now to 28. He's in contention. Bluth's right back. The old grinders really grinding them in that pocket. So at the end of 5, Kwolek is 29 in the second. He works on 3. Bluth is 68 in the fourth, and he has a strike in the 5th. We're in the 6th frame, the 3rd game, championship bowling from Akron, Ohio. Ray Bluth in the 6th, on a strike, throws one in there and carries, and that'll make it very difficult for Bobby Kwolek. Bluth with 238 and 237, a total of 475. He needs 225 for 700. Kwolek, games of 214 and 212, working on a triple. 5 in a row, $250 bonus. 10 pins stops him. So there it is. He gets away with 2 lucky ones, hits the pocket, and leaves the 10. There is no justice.
No justice at all, Fred. That ball was pretty well rolled, had a nice line to it, but leaving the solid 10.
Well, for Kwolek, he really needed that one. There's the cover. The only way to catch Bluth would be to chuck yourself up about 6 or 7 in a row, because it looks like Raymond is going to knock on that 700 door here with 4 frames to go. Kwolek moves left. Bobby still leads in this game by 10 pins. He trailed by 49. The margin, 39 pins, 4 frames to go. $1,000 to the winner. There's a good ball. So Kwolek gets himself back into position.
10-pin cost him bonus money there, too, Fred. Even with those 2 lucky strikes.
Well, Bobby can go all the way for 248. That would mean that Bluth will need 200 to win this game, and Ray needs another strike and then fill the last 3 or get a double in the last 3. He's got it. 4 pin stops him. Still life for Kwolek, and that'll make a 700 total pretty difficult for Bluth. Be a great match here for Kwolek to pull out, Dick.
Oh, wouldn't it, though?
Remember in that Northbrook series when he beat Pat Patterson in the finals, he gave Pat 91 pins and beat him out. He can go. There's the cover by Bluth. And I'm sure Ray realizes this, so we go into the 8th frame.
I think it's the first time we've seen Ray on his knees in this match.
Well, I'm sure
he knew he needed the 200 game.
Being the killer type, he wants to shut the door here as quick as he can. And he knows he needs another double to do it. Here it comes. There, he got the 10 out of there. Oh, that 4 pin was pretty costly for Bluth, and that 700 now is still within reach. 702 if he goes all the way. Bobby Kwolek now has 1 way to go. Got to strike out. Get it up there. There it is. So don't count this young fella out of here now. We go into the 9th, and if Kwolek gets this one, Bluth, if he does not double, will give Kwolek the chance to win the match with 2 strikes in the 10th frame. Bluth will bowl out first, so we'll know whether Kwolek has a chance or not. But Bobby needs this one. Gotta hurry. He's there and he's got it. Kwolek now with a big triple as we go into the big 9th frame. We go into the 9th for Ray Bluth. Kwolek with a potential 248, as we mentioned 3 frames ago. 248. Bluth had a lead of 49. So to win by 1 pin, Bluth will have to shoot 200. And he needs this strike or a double in the 10th, assuming that Kwolek will get 2 more.
He's there.
Mark
Fred.
it up. Mark it up. Now, Bluth still needs the spare, of course, to get 200. But he doesn't need the double in the 10th. He needs 2 strikes for 700. He needs 3 strikes for $250 in bonus money. Kwolek needs the first 2 strikes for $250 bonus money. So there's a lot of loose change laying around here, Dick, for these
Very
boys
much
to pick
so.
up. And the bells are ringing right here. Set it. There it is. So that shuts the door on Bobby Kwolek. Ray Bluth needs 2 more now. Needs 1 and 8 pins for 700. He needs 2 more for 702 plus $250. He picked up bonus money in the first game, $250. So it could be a $1,500 win for Ray Bluth with this strike and the full count. What do you think, Dick?
I think he might do it. He likes his sling
There's
very well.
one. There's one. So that's 700 for Ray Bluth, who lost a 10-pin in the second frame, ladies and gentlemen, and then missed it. He has not had a ball out of the pocket, really, this game. The 10-pin, the 7-pin, and the 4-pin, and that's the story. 9 strikes with this one, and $250 more. Let's hold on. Watch it, Ray. Watch it, boy. The 4-pin. Well, that was a $250 tap, but it gives Bluth 701. Well, you can't come much closer than that, Dick. That
Not at all.
Pretty good.
701's not a bad series at all either.
He can also get bonus money. Hold it. Hold it. The 4-7 stops Bobby in the 10th. Just a little tight. So Bobby can get out of here with 226, which will give him 652 with the full count. 652, 701. 2 more of the world's greatest bowlers in match game competition here on Championship Bowling, television's #1 bowling show. We'll watch the count, have a word or two with these 2 fine champions, and want to thank Dick Weber for sitting in with us again this week.
Thank you,
Thank you
Fred.
very much, Richard. Nice to have you. 2-2-4. 224 for Bobby Kwolek. We'll check out the totals. Be right back with these 2 great stars from the Firestone Lanes in Akron, Ohio, where the World Series of Golf is played annually. Here are the scores for Bobby Kwolek from Dayton, Ohio. 214, 212, a 224 finish, 650. For Ray Bluth from St. Louis, 238, 237, 226. The total, 701. The winner by 51 pins, Ray Bluth. Did you enjoy this one, ladies and gentlemen? You didn't enjoy it at all, Bob, did you?
Oh, I like to see good bowling, but it didn't have to be against me.
Didn't have to be against you. If you were watching, Ray, did you think you learned anything from this fellow?
Oh, I've watched him so long, I can't learn anything from him. I got to throw my own way. He's got his own style. He hits the pocket so much, it's unreal.
It's unreal. You don't think it's a fake. I mean, you see it, you know it's real.
He deserves it.
There's the loser's share, Bob, $500. And as I mentioned earlier, you're a former winner on Championship Bowling, and when we opened the show, I forgot that Ray Bluth is also a former champion, winning the series in Skokie.
Well, you told me he was averaging 221 and
222.
You inspired him, so he
He shot 701. Ray, $250 bonus money. That 4-pin kept you from another one of those. And $1,000 as the winner. You have 701. You might be around here for the finals.
I'm going to try, Fred.
Good luck. I hope you can
Thank
make
you
it.
very
Ray
much.
Bluth, Bobby Kwolek. Let's give him a nice hand. Repeating the scores, Ray Bluth 701, Bobby Kwolek 650. Sure hope you can join us again next week here on television's #1 bowling show, Championship Bowling, coming to you from the Firestone Bowl A Rama lanes in Akron, Ohio. Each week you see two of the world's greatest bowlers in match game competition with a $70,000 purse. Until next week, this is Fred Wolf just saying, keep 'em bowling out there. It's great. Matching shirts and slacks used on Championship Bowling by King Louie. Championship Bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, and we wish to thank AMF for their cooperation in helping us to produce Championship Bowling.